This is my first library. I'm quite honored, so. And I just want to say, I think I speak for everyone when I say, ouch. And I hope that the last woman is, clearly she's okay because she's here with us tonight, so it has a happy ending, but wow. I was in a lot of pain listening, so. So as a comedian, people often think, you know, it is the funnest job in the world because my job is just to make people laugh. And that's an awesome thing. And I am grateful that I get paid to do that and that I've done what I've needed to do that. But a lot of times, being a comedian, you're not in a theater or a library in Mill Valley. You're going to places that you normally would never go to unless that's where the gig was at. So the story I'm going to tell you tonight happened in the town of Redding, California. That's a proper reaction right there. That reaction, it was, yeah. If you don't know where Redding is, it's where 1972 went. I think that's a fair way to say it. Here's the email that the comedy booker sent to me, and it started out all in caps. That's never a good sign. Never good when it's all capitals. And it just said this. It said, "Please be advised that this venue prominently displays the Confederate flag. It's not indicative of their philosophy there. I've booked many diverse shows at this venue. Have fun." What could go wrong with that, right? I mean, doesn't every comedy gig come with a racial disclaimer before you go? And I thought, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm from the Midwest. I'm white trash. They're white trash. We'll get along somehow. You know, I'll speak their language. Because I look like I'm a Nazi in The Sound of Music. It's going to be okay, you know? We can bond. I get up there and immediately it becomes clear to me just how bad this is going to be. I've not walked in the door. I'm standing outside and looking at the place, and the name of it is Johnny's Cathouse. Yeah, that just screams quality entertainment right there, isn't it? I should tell you what originally the owner had in mind was he wanted to do a Coyote Ugly kind of theme, which is you have scantily clad women standing on the bar serving drinks, and then even Redding said, you know what, we actually do have some standards, and we don't want you to do that. So then the owner was like, well, who could I get to work for cheaper comedians? I'll book comedy. So that's how he got the idea, sure, I'll keep the name Johnny's Cathouse, but I'll bring up comedians. So I'm standing outside and looking at this place, and I'm just like, oh my God, am I really going to do this? There's a guy standing outside, and he looks like he's been spitting tobacco since he was 6 years old. Like, he just, literally, like the side of his face is stained, right? And he looks in the window, and he sees a poster with my face on it, and then he looks at me, and he sees me, looks back at the poster, then looks at me. He has to do this several times before he makes the connection. You know, that, oh, this is the same guy in the poster. Now, I don't know him, he doesn't know me. First thing he says to me is, you know, I can always tell when black people are around. Oh, shit. Wow. That's, I mean, like, what do you say to that, you know? Like, well, so can I, they're black. What the hell is wrong with you? Are you a psychic racist? What are you telling me? That was my introduction to Redding, and I thought, wow, this is going to really be worse than I thought it was going to be. And I walk in, and yes, there's the biggest Confederate flag I've ever seen in my life, and it's huge, I mean huge, and above it is the biggest American flag I've ever seen in my life. And I want you to think big. I want you to think like, you know, halftime at Super Bowl commercial, Chevy truck, full-on boner Viagra, fuck you America big, okay? This thing is huge. And then hanging there is the Confederate flag, and on either side of that are those naked women mudflap silhouettes. Very classy, right? Hanging at the bottom of the Confederate flag is a disco ball. Okay, what are you trying to tell me with this mixed message? What is this collage of wrong? What does it mean, you know? What, you know, America, you're different, we don't like you. Women are objects, gays are okay. Is that what the message is? I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure there was no thought in it, right? But I'm like, oh my God, this is just awful, right? And I'm killing time, I'm waiting to go on. The other acts show up. There's an opener, and there's a feature act. And the opener is a black guy. And his eyes are about as wide as I've ever seen a person's eyes be wide. And we're out back, and we're talking. The other comics and I are talking, and we're like, did you get the same email? Did you get the whole giant disclaimer about the Confederate flag? And he's like, no. You're kidding me. The booker sent the two other white guys a warning about the Confederate flag, but he didn't send you. And like, it's safe to say that this comedy booker might be a racist, I'm pretty sure, because he sent you into this den of thieves with no warning whatsoever. And he's like, I can't go on stage with a giant Confederate flag hanging above my head. I'm like, I completely understand. I don't know what to tell you. And we get the owner, and the owner's exactly what you think he would be like. Like, he had a huge beard, he had a giant cowboy hat, he had a belt buckle, and here's what I thought was hilarious to me. His belt buckle had his name on the belt buckle, but it was upside down. And my only thinking was like, because he would get so drunk sometimes and forget his name that he would look down, see the belt buckle, and remember his name. So cops would stop him like, what's your name? It's Jed. So we had Jed. I mean, that's actually, it happens enough times. You get a belt buckle with your name upside down, I guess, right? And Jed is just like, he's not having any of it. He's like, no, this is our place, this is our club. Now, it's a music venue. It's set up for music. It's not set up for stand-up comedy. And they've got these lights set up. And nobody knows how to work the light board at the venue. They're used to just turning it on and the show happening, and the lights go through all these different colors of purple and green and blue. So this is happening, and Phil, Phil and I become pretty good friends now, as the only black comedian in the town of Reading. He goes on stage, and the lights are all going through this, and the other comic and I are like, maybe they've just never had a black guy on stage before, and they're just trying to figure out the lighting. They just don't know, They're like, well, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. That's not working. And the audience is looking at him, somewhere between like, this is funny, and some of the audience are looking at him like, what? It's tense. It's not what you want in a comedy environment. You don't want half the crowd, ready to burn a cross or something, So he finishes his set, and he comes off stage, and I'm just like, you know what, man? Whatever else happens, you have a tremendous amount of courage. You went on stage, you dealt with that hostile mentality, you got some solid laughs. Now, the best part is, it's done. I still have to go up and make hee-haw laugh for 45 minutes. And it gets to be my turn, and right before I go on stage, the owner comes by, and the owner says to me, don't make fun of the Confederate flag. Let me tell you guys a little inside secret about stand-up comics and how our minds work. I think you can see where I'm going with this. If you want a comedian not to make fun of something, don't tell him to not make fun of it. Because about 40, well, not even 40, for about 15 minutes in, I just stop and I look up at the thing and I just go, so what's up, Dukes of Hazzard fans? And that was a mistake, I'm not going to lie to you. That's when the show effectively ended and the riot officially began. And it's fair to call it a riot because there was a whole lot more of them than there was of me. There was a lot of shouting, there was some chanting, stuff was being thrown at me. It was pretty incredible. And, I'm not a bright man, because my thought was like, wow, this is cool. That was my thought. It was like, wow, I've incited a riot. This is awesome, over mentioning a bad TV show from the 70s. But they hated me, and they started chanting, we're number one, which I find hysterical, because I point out to them that flag means you're number 2. Thank you. Yeah, you clap. I should not have said that. That was when it dawned on me, I might be going too far. I might be going too far because I still have 30 minutes left. Yeah, they're not having it. They're just chanting and they're throwing stuff, and I'm trying to shout down a mob with a microphone. That's when the owner rushes up to the stage, and he goes, "That's it, the show's over." I'm like, yeah, no shit, the show's over. But he pays me, American. I was happy about that. And he's like, you gotta go. Like, yeah, don't worry, dude. I got it. I'm leaving. And I start to leave the stage. I'm a curious person, and I like to try. I've traveled a lot in America, and I get to ask questions and see other places, and that's how I learn stuff. That's how my comedy comes about. And before I leave, I go up to one of the cocktail waitresses, and I'm just dying to ask her a question. And I got to tell you this about her, because this will explain, I think, her entire mentality. She had eyebrows the way all of us drew seagulls in the 3rd grade. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I could call her white trash, but that wouldn't be polite. That wouldn't be polite, right? Seagulls like the 3rd grade. So I asked her, I go, hey, be honest with me. Don't you think in this day and age, it's at least insulting to have a Confederate flag to African Americans? And without even thinking, she just goes, well, they never come in here. Well, yes, caw, why do you think that is? It's because you have a Confederate flag hanging from the ceiling. And at this point, I can see a lot of guys looking at me like, we're gonna kick your ass. Like, I can't hear what they're saying, but I imagine that's the voice that they're going to say when they do it, right? And I get outside, some friendlies are like, you know, we don't get a lot of your kind of comedy. Well, what kind is that? Thinking. Okay, you know. Thanks. You're never gonna get me again, I'll tell you that. But they're like, yeah, you should probably leave because we were in the bathroom and we could hear some guys talking about kicking your ass. I'm like, yeah, I pretty much got that message. I got it. I was on stage while things were being thrown at me. And I can see my car. It's 60 feet in that direction, right? And I start walking towards it, and I've got this notion of like, you know what, I'm gonna hold my head up. I'm not going to let any of these guys yelling more crap at me bother me. I'm there almost 50 feet to the car. You know what, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get out of this bad Deliverance reunion movie that I seem to be stuck in. Now I'm like, okay, I'm 30 feet away. I'm gonna get in my car. I'm sure it's a 4.5-hour drive, but you know what? I want to get the hell out of this bad time machine and just get home, and I'm 10 feet in front of the car, and I think I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be okay. And then this guy just steps directly in front of my face, just stands directly in front of me, and he's what I would call a tethered drunk. And if you don't know what a tethered drunk is, I can only show it to you. He's somebody who's like, It looks like he's gonna fall, but he never quite does, you know what I mean, right? He gets right in my face, and I can smell, what's that? Basically, it's intolerance, I think, is the smell. It's like an 8th grade education mixed with vodka. That's pretty much what it is, right? Sorry, I don't want to offend any vodka. He gets in my face, and he's like right there, and he just goes, I don't like what you said about our flag, boy. And it's tense, right? And I gotta tell you, I have this, some of my friends call it a gift, some of my friends call it a problem. I just know that it's gotten me into a lot of grief in my life. Every now and again, when somebody says something that profoundly stupid and they're right in my face, there's this part of me, I can't call it courage because it's like a reflex, but stuff will just fly out of my mouth, right? Like I'll give you a quick example. I was in a Starbucks in Sacramento a couple of weeks ago, and there's a guy in line in front of me talking to his other friend, and he's saying, so everybody in the whole place can hear, he's going on and on and on, and he keeps saying, lazy illegal Mexican took my job. He keeps saying it over and over again, and he keeps looking around, you know, like that body language of like, yeah, who's gonna back me up? And nobody's gonna back him up, because it's a stupid thing to say, right? And he finally turns around and he looks at me, and I just go, how good could you have been at your job if a lazy guy took it anyway? you know, and that got me a free cappuccino. But it just, stuff will fly out of my mouth, and I like to think that at that moment, the universe is just using me to like match ignorance with, okay, here's something to counteract that ignorance. So the guy's in my face, right? And he's like, I don't like what you said about the flag, and I don't know where it comes from, but I look at him and I go, well, why are you so proud of it? It's stupid. I don't take people back to my house to show them my collage of losing lottery tickets. Take it down. And I probably shouldn't have said that. That wasn't helping me. That's not the situation to use logic in, you know? Because I can imagine in his head the process that was going on was like, words challenging, must hit. You know, that's... I mean, I'm imagining. I can't, you know, see in that. But in his eyes, I can imagine like two lonely synapses coming together. You know, to just be like, what do we do? We hit. What do you mean, what do we do? You know? So he goes to throw the punch, and here's the beautiful part. He is so drunk, and he is so slow, that when he throws the punch, all I have to do to avoid it is literally just go... The fist goes past my head, he pulls the fist back, and I straighten right back up, and here's what makes the story incredible to me. Because then the guy looks at me, and he just goes, all right, you're pretty fast, Matrix. I laughed. I mean, that's funny. I did not see that coming from anywhere. You know, but it's like, okay, Matrix, sure. Alcoholism, Matrix, I can see that, sure. You know, good for you to... It's like it's become such a problem in his life. He's convinced that all of these people are just in the Matrix messing with him. It's like, no, you're seeing in triple, my idiot friend. That's what's going on. I want to give you the PS to the story, though, because that would be awesome enough right there as it is, but this is a story that just keeps on giving. As a comedian, you're always trying to get on TV. That's what the comedian's goal is, and I've been working with this TV show, late night TV show. I don't want to tell you which one because I don't want to mess it up. And they recently have approved me to be on, but it took 9 months of sending them clips of different performances where they would go, well, we like that joke, we don't like that joke, we like this joke, we don't like that joke. And as a comedian, I've sort of come full circle in my career. I started out more as a storyteller, then I got into jokes, and jokes have to be very short, and now I've gone back because I really like stories, so I wanted to send them a clip that was more representative of where I am in my career, so I sent them that story about dealing with the drunk guy and the Confederate flag, and they wrote me back, and here's the email that the producer of the show said. He just said, Dear Joe, very, very funny. We enjoyed it very much. However, we have a very broad audience and we don't wish to offend anybody. Yeah. So I'm looking at the email, and if I'm reading that properly, what he's telling me is it's too soon to make fun of the Civil War. And that's me going too far. Thank you very much.